Hello and welcome to Mississauga Life and Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Jaffrey. And as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Alex Stakic. Alex, how are you today, sir?
I'm very good, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Excellent.
Nice to see you again. It's been a week.
Thank you. Yes.
Some important, significant things have happened since the last time we spoke.
Yes.
The interest rate has gone up again yesterday. It went up by 0.5, right? I was reading some very interesting articles. I'm sure, you've been probably doing some research as well.
Yeah.
And the article is talking about how, so what has changed? What's significant isn't that we had a 0.5% rate hike. What's significant is that we had 7 rate hikes this year, right? I don't know if you've heard anything from the Bank of Canada. Is this the final one, or we don't know yet?
If you go to the Bank of Canada website, you will see it's mentioned that a new review will be done on 25th of January next year. So maybe this is not end of the game. And it's very understandable because you're on the inflation of 6.9%, and government target is to bring that inflation to only 2%. So it's a huge gap. And still you're recognizing huge demand, and demand is going very high. So if you don't have balanced demand with supply, we'll have that inflation, right?
Okay. So here's the interesting part. The point where the Bank of Canada said, okay, let's start reducing inflation by increasing the interest rate. Inflation at its highest was a little bit above 8%. That was at its highest, right? Right now we're sitting at 6.9%. And 6.9% we've been there for the last 2-3 months at 6.9%. Even though we've had 7 rate hikes so far, inflation numbers haven't changed dramatically. So, I'm just wondering, when they do a rate hike, when does the actual influence of that rate hike affect the inflation numbers? So that's yet to be seen, because we've been sitting at 6.9 for a while.
But it's not inflation is only one factor, but government and Bank of Canada are looking for other parameters as well. What is employment and unemployment rate, what we discussed a couple of times. And Consumer Price Index mentioned that the general increase of hourly wages was increased in October for 5.6%. So this 5.6% is almost offsetting the inflation. So what is in that case? Net inflation, right?
Correct. Yes. So you have to take a look at the whole picture. The employment situation right now, everybody is understaffed. Anybody that I know that has a business is complaining about not having enough staff. So, inflation is inflation is up. But at the same time, as far as I know, some of the people that have talked in the restaurant industry, they're busy. They're very busy.
Yes.
They just can't find people to work for them. So even though the prices are high, it looks like Canadians are still kind of going out there, enjoying their lives, spending their money, living their lives. What's interesting, Alex, I heard in a report that people have gotten to the point where they're not saving as much as they were, let's just say, a year or 2 years ago, because they just simply want to keep up with their lifestyle. They want to go to the restaurants, they want to go to the movies, the vacations, and all that stuff. So at the expense or at the cost of savings, they want to kind of maintain their lifestyle. But when it gets to the point where people actually start dipping into their savings to maintain their current lifestyle is when it starts to get worrying. And we're not there quite yet, but it looks like we might be heading in that direction. Who knows?
But I think it's not only dipping in savings. You remember when we discussed a couple of times in the previous podcast, and when we did some deep dive in structure of this cost of living, people are dipping to their equities as well. And if you remember, we also discussed about the credit cards. What is going on with the credit cards?
Credit card delinquencies.
So I read yesterday news that credit cards, not delinquency, but the overall debt in Canada, I think till the end of November was $2.3 trillion, not billion dollars, $2.3 trillion.
Yeah.
It has, I don't know when we had so much debts on the credit cards in the country, right?
Yeah. So when you say $2.3 trillion, is that all debt, or is that specifically credit card debt?
Credit card debt.
credit card debt. Amazing.
Yeah, it was clearly mentioned $2.3 trillion credit card debts.
Yeah.
So it's a question how people are structuring their debts and how to position themselves. Are they willing to take these short but expensive vehicles to bridge over the problems by taking money from credit cards and not paying on time? Or you're taking equity, or you have real saving, and what you will sacrifice. If you don't want to sacrifice your lifestyle and prices are increasing, your income is still same like last year, some part of your income side would suffer, right?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting when you hear about these things. I wonder what percentage of the people have credit card debt, like a lot of it, and they own a home at the same time, and they have the ability to get a home equity line of credit. Is it, you know, it makes sense to just take your credit card, pay it off, get a home equity line of credit, lower interest rate. But a lot of people still don't do that. They still carry both balances, which doesn't make sense to me. But
I think this is a question of financial illiteracy, nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I have something that I wanted to share with you. Kind of related to what we were talking about before this was, you know, the interest rate hike of 0.5%. So I saw this analysis of, you know, what was your cost on a home that was about $750,000, let's just say sometime January this year, right? When the market was at its peak with like 30 offers on a home. And the interest rate was at like 0.9% at that time, amortized over 25 years. Yes. So your cost for a home like that with 10% down for $750,000, your mortgage was about $2,585 at that time on a property that was about $750. Yeah, per month. So we know that property values have come down. Things have calmed down because the interest rates have gone up, and they're always correlated with the average price.
Yes.
So now, if you were to purchase that same home, you can, you know, we guesstimate that that home, let's just say, conservatively speaking, from $750 has come down to like $650, right?
Yeah. At
today's interest rate at 4.69%, 10% down, you're looking at a mortgage of $3,300.74. So you're literally, oh, sorry, by the way, let me step back a little bit. So you were looking at $2,585 at that time for that person who had the variable rate at 0.9%. That person is now paying a rate of 4.9% because they were variable. It wasn't a fixed rate. Their mortgage amount now is $4,000, right? So it jumped from $2,500 to $4,000 with the latest rate hike taken into consideration.
So for the same, actually, we're talking about the same balance on 90% on 750, right?
Correct. Yes. On 750, 90%. Yes.
So 4,000 minus 2,500, that means that you had to dip to your pocket 1,500 more to cover your mortgage. What is 18,000
more
a year.
A month? Correct. We're talking like collectively on a year, on an annualized basis, we're talking about $17,000 roughly a year that, excuse me, that they're going to have to dip into. And I don't know, man, for a lot of the people, you know, when they kind of budget for the future for the year, a hit of $70,000 is a big amount. That's like 20%, I would say, roughly of your total cost for living when it comes to an average family. So that's one thing. The other comparison that this article made was talking about how that same particular home at $750 today, if it's selling for $650,000 with a current rate of 4.69, it's at $33.74. So if you bought this house today, the same exact house today, not only would you be paying 15-20% less, but your monthly payment with the current high rates, inclusive of the one announced yesterday, the rate hike would be $33.74. So you're still looking at about $600 to $700 less because the price has come down at that point, right? So,
and I believe that this interest portion is almost 90% of your monthly payment, comparing beginning of the year when it was probably 50-50, right?
Yes. Can I tell you an interesting?
You're not building your equity at all.
Can I tell you an interesting stat that I just heard a couple of days ago? Had something to do with TD. TD said that about a quarter of their mortgages are amortized at 35 years now.
Really?
25% of their mortgages, yeah. And that's just TD. We don't know what's going on with the Royal Bank and the other lenders. So that was that. Now, in terms of average price, have you taken a look at the numbers just got released today or yesterday for Toronto? And so, I mean, some of the things were the same, right? We were about 49% in terms of the number of homes sold. We were 49% less compared to the year before.
Yes.
Compared to last month, we were down 2.4% in the total number of sales. Not a big deal. Year over year price, compared to last year, we're down 7% in price. But compared to last month, we're down 0.3% in price. So, I mean, it looks to me, Alex, that if you take a look at November, October, September, the average price really hasn't shifted much. Do you think we've kind of hit the bottom here?
No, we didn't. No. It looks like, but again, we're talking, it depends what area you're looking for. Still, for example, like a couple of clients who are looking in Oshawa, Pickering, Whitby, and properties are selling, and I'm getting information, 5 offers, 10 offers, 13 offers. So good property always will be sold. Question is for how much. But again, sellers do not compromise still about the price. So
I think one of the biggest problems that we have, the reason why we're seeing that the average price hasn't really moved much in the last 3 months, is because sellers are still very confident and they're not panic selling. And, if you take a look at the months of inventory, I think the last time we spoke about that, we were at 2 to 3 months of inventory, which is quite normal. It's not a fearful situation for the sellers. Hence, we're seeing, a pretty consistent average price for the last 3 months. Something interesting, Alex, I don't know if you've taken a look at this, but rental market I was looking at, and they were saying that there was about 17% less compared to last year in terms of rental inventory. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the average rent for a 1-bedroom condo in the GTA, or just an average in Toronto, the average rent last year this time was $2,061. Now it's almost $2,500. So we're looking at an increase of $400 to $500 for the average 1-bedroom condo in rent.
That means increase almost 20%.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm thinking like, okay, for somebody who's saying like, rates have gone up quite a bit, and my monthly payments, if I was to purchase a house, would be really high. They also have a pain point here with renting. If the rent's gone up like 20, 25%, do you really want to throw away all that money in not building any equity? So I think, given all these different numbers we're talking about, kind of explains the fact that, the market is still active. There's no doom and gloom, nothing that we can see of yet. Looks like we're grinding sideways, meaning that, we're not going up, we're not going down. We're kind of sitting where we are with the average price. Right.
Absolutely. And I would like to share with you other market updates for October, November in regards to the GTA. And you probably noticed that average price in October 2022 comparing 2021, in spite of the fact that we have 7 consecutive increase of mortgage rates in this year, dropped only for 7.5%. Average days of market dropped for almost 70% increased from 13 days in October and November last year to 22 days. What a significant difference. And now when we are coming to structure of the sold properties in November, of the 4,500 properties in total sold in November 2022, my attention took 2 numbers. First one is that from these 4,500 properties, over 2,000 properties, actually 2,056, were detached houses, what is 45% of total sale. And we had condo apartments with 1,289 sales, or 28%. So these 2 categories, these 2 types are almost 75 or 80% of total share of the sale in November. And again, what took my additional attention in regards to detached houses, we had from this 2,056 sold detached houses, 247 houses sold with a price 2 million plus. And that
so
is
10% of the homes.
Yes, 10% of the homes. Can you believe?
10% of the detached homes, yeah. We're over
major detached houses price range sold were between $1 million and $1,250,000. 457 properties, or 10% of all sale of all type of properties in November 2022, and that number is pretty surprising to me.
Yeah,
and of course, you can see, for example, 200 to 300 sale prices range. We had seven properties sold. I'm really curious these days to see which these 7 properties are between $200,000 to $300,000. I am not. It's not easy to find.
Complete fixer-uppers, I would assume, something that needs a lot of work, or something that has a maintenance fee of $2,000 or something crazy like that. Who knows?
Probably.
You know what? I got some interesting numbers for you. You know, I always used to wonder, like, and I'm going to look into this a little bit deeper, but you know, everybody keeps talking about how we have a shortage of homes, right? We have a shortage of inventory. That's why the prices are going up the way they have.
Yes.
The last, especially, like, you know, if you take a look at what happened in January, February this year, 30, 60 offers on one home. That's insane. Anyways, I want to look more into, Alex, I don't know if you know, maybe you get a chance to take a look into, like, okay, historically speaking, for the amount of people that we have in Canada, right? Per, let's say, 1,000 people, how many homes did we have 20 years ago? Per 1,000 people, how many homes do we have today? Right. And it'd be interesting because I did some research. I couldn't really get, like, you know, the hard numbers, but the sense that I got was the numbers really haven't changed much per 1,000 people. Right.
Really?
So, yeah. So what that leads me to believe is that more and more people, a significantly higher number of people, got into multiple investments. And you know, you and I both know last year when the numbers came out, it said that they had the highest number of investors being, like, buying homes than ever before. Typically it's 10% of the market, or the 10% of the shares. It was 25% last year.
Oh, really?
So 25% of the buyers were investors. That's quite a chunk.
It is,
right?
Significant one.
Okay, so currently it says that Canada has the lowest number of housing per 1,000 residents of any G7 countries, right? So this article is saying that we have the least amount of homes per 1,000 people in Canada when they compare to the US, the UK, Japan, etc. OECD countries, I think, the G7 rather. Interesting numbers here. In Quebec City, it's probably the most balanced market right now when it comes to what we're talking about. For every 1,000 residents, there's 484 homes. Okay.
Very nice.
In Toronto, for every 1,000 residents, there's 360 homes. Okay. So hence, like, you know, the crazy shortage. And let's just take a look at another major market, Calgary. In Calgary, for every 1,000 residents, there's 378 homes. So again, like, this is what I'm trying to tell you, okay? We know Calgary market. We've sold properties there. Okay, let's talk about Calgary. So in Calgary, in 2020, for every 1,000 residents, there were 378 homes. Are there prices crazy, going through the roof, multiple offers, you know, blind bidding? No, that's not happening there. In Toronto, for every 1,000 homes, we had every 1,000 people, we had 360 homes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's not a big difference between Calgary and Toronto, but our prices, right? Like, what was happening in Toronto? So that leads me to believe is that it's not the number of people, because we have the same amount of homes as Calgary does for every 1,000 people. That just leads me to believe, logical conclusion, I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that there's more people investing in multiple investment properties, hence the reason we have such a shortening of supply. What do you think?
Yes, I agree with you. And I would like to add something about Calgary market as well, because I was visiting Calgary this year, in the beginning of the year in January, and I discussed with the builders there, and they gave me their insights about the Calgary market. Calgary market is totally different comparing Toronto markets in sense that people are not driven with the fact that they want to be investors there. They even don't want to be homeowners.
A lot of renters.
They're willing to be their renters even for lifetime. You have people who are renters and they're signing a contract not in the years of tenancy, but the age. I want to be in this place till end of my life. It can be 12 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it takes. So different culture and different, definitely mindset. So who is the owner? It's owner, right? Here we have definitely more investors, and these investors in Toronto are driving prices up. And I don't believe foreign investors. I think domestic investors mostly are driving these prices up. And it was very popular. Oh, let's buy pre-construction. Now instead of buying 1 or 2, you're buying 3, 4, 5. Now we've seen what's going on with the Simon sales. They're popping up more and more on the social media, trying to get out from the deals. What is something very common right now?
So you know what, and I think that's another thing that we should talk about is what percentage of investors are foreign investors, and how many properties. We'll do that. We'll do a segment on that as well, right? How much of an effect does that have on the Toronto real estate market? A foreign investor, let's just say it's a company somewhere in Hong Kong or somewhere else, which is basically, it's an investment company. They're just trying to make money for their clients. And they just come up here and they start buying properties cash, outbidding everybody. How much of that is happening? How much does it affect? But clearly, when we take into account, let's even say Quebec or Montreal, and we take a look at our numbers, they're not very different, right? But why do prices go up so much in certain places and not others? It's because there's one person owning more than one property.
Absolutely.
Right? Does that get solved? The question I want to ask you is, does that get solved if, right now, I think Doug Ford just announced that they're going to build more homes in the Greenbelt. And Mississauga, recently I heard, was going to have to put 50,000 new housing units in Mississauga, similar in Brampton. Is that going to solve the problem we're having? Because at the end of the day, if, hypothetically speaking, the problem really is that one person is over leveraging themselves and buying multiple properties, how is that problem going to get solved if they start doing that to the new homes that come up on the market as well? Right? At what point? And the issue is, let's just say in Mississauga, they say, let's build 50,000 homes, right? Mm-hmm. And they go ahead and do that. They build 50,000 homes, but now because the rates are higher or whatever the reason is, that we don't have the investor as active as before, does the value come down then because there's not enough people buying these homes, right? Somehow, somewhere, I guess what I'm trying to say is we have to have some sort of like balance where, yes, if you're an investor, you want to make some money in real estate, Canadian real estate is a great product. At the same time, we need to have enough that you can invest and grow your wealth, but that young family who's working like, an average job is able to afford a home as well. So where's that balance? I think is going to be the tricky part.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Maybe some kind of exclusions will be done that who has priority. Typical, these type of properties only for the first-time home buyers, this and that. So probably they will do some kind of segmentation because you can build, even 500,000 units to build. It will not change the situation because we are bringing 500,000 this year, next year, year after, new immigrants who need to live somewhere. So definitely yes. Some kind probably of change policies will be implemented that these people, especially first-time home buyers, will have the priority.
Yeah.
And I think this is
interesting because we're talking about immigration numbers. We're talking about 700,000 people that came in this year. We're talking about 500 the next year, 1.5 million in the next 3 years, right? In Canada.
Of course.
And the bulk of them end up in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and I think Calgary now. A lot of people will be heading down there as well. But we still know that for every 1,000 people, let's just average it out. Let's just say it's 400 homes for 1,000 people, right? like almost half, right? So if there's 700,000 people that came, we need about 300,000 more homes in Canada, right?
How to do that overnight?
And okay, so let me ask you this, Alex. I'm going to pick your brain. In Mississauga, for example, let's just take Mississauga just by itself. Population of about 700,000, 800,000 people.
Yeah.
And if they were to build another 50,000 units, and again, this is Mississauga, so we're probably talking condos. We're not talking about detached homes, right?
No.
Maybe some condo townhomes, but that's about it. So if we built another 50,000 single family units, what would that do to the price? Do you think it'll balance the market, or do you think that nothing's going to change?
No, it will not balance market. Let's assume from these 500,000 people, 70% will try to stay in Ontario. Read in the brackets Toronto, right? It's 350,000 people. From these 300,000 people, even, let's say, 30% will stay in Mississauga, if possible. It's 100,000.
Yeah.
So 50,000 homes barely can on yearly basis cover 100,000 new people coming to Mississauga. So you're barely matching these numbers, right? And if you have people who would like to buy multiple properties or investments, they will pick up the numbers to go up.
Yeah.
So 50,000. Actually, we should discuss what number of units should be built to decrease prices. This is some magic number that we have to figure out, right?
It is definitely a complicated issue, and I think it's one of those things where we need, our political representatives, people working for the city, to actually, sit down and explain to us, like, the reason why we're seeing 50,000 is because A, B, and C. Until we, because we need to be able to understand, like, okay, what about the investors? What if, like, I wanted to go tomorrow, and those 50,000 homes you're talking about building, I want to buy 3 of those for an investment.
Yeah.
Right?
I would like to share something with you
situation?
I would like to share with you some policy implemented in Italy and Spain, and I'm pretty sure people are aware here as well about this trend in there. You have in Italy villages and abandoned places and houses, name it, which are not center cities. It's not on the north. They're usually undeveloped part of the country on the south, with beautiful nature, clean water, air. It's not.
How far are they from, like, the main city center?
It's they're on the south of Italy, for example. There is Naples or other small cities, or even Sicily. So old age people, mostly retired with no industry, and they are giving you house with the land for €1. It's
I've heard about
$1
that,
or $2, right?
Yeah.
Come there. You're welcome. You have your PR, you have green card. You can stay there. You can do whatever you want, manage, build, repair, fix, and you can live there, right? So it's huge interest there as well for this kind of getting properties in Italy and Spain, because their population is decreasing, right? We don't have a problem with the decreasing of population. We have increasing of population because of migration. But maybe some part of this scenario can be copy-paste to improve our housing policy, or, that it's not necessary that everybody has to live in Toronto, but bring some...
I agree 100%, because you know what? If you think about, let's talk about China or Japan, different parts of Europe, they have such good transit systems that even if you live an hour and a half away, because high-speed rail, you're at work in like a half hour, 40 minutes.
Yes.
So you could work in Toronto and live by car an hour and a half away, but by train, 40 minutes. Right? Even less. If you could do that, you'd solve so many problems, because I think the main thing is the reason why people are drawn to Toronto, it's not because people like living in shoeboxes. It's because of work. People want to be close to work. They don't want the expense of having a car, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of solutions. We just gotta, make sure that whoever's in charge of this, I guess we gotta get involved in the process, right? And I think especially as people who work in the real estate industry, we feel the pain of our clients.
Yes.
So we need to just get involved and not only just our clients, for the future of our kids. You know, we need to get involved in the decision-making process for a better city. So,
I agree.
Yeah, that's it from my end. Alex, did you want to add anything else? Are we good?
Yes, some final words, because I was reading Consumer Price Index for October. I was wondering what are the main drivers of the price increase, and it is mentioned, and it's easy and accessible to everyone to read the statistic of Canada, that Consumer Price Index rose 6.9% year over year in October, and faster price growth was for the gas and mortgage insurance costs. Excluding food and energy, prices rose 5.3% year over year in October. And I was also looking to see in regards to food, and it was what is a price increase for the food categories. For example, price of meat increased 5.5%, fresh food 8.9%, fresh vegetables 11%. And when we go down a little bit further, dry or fresh pasta increased 44.8%, margarine 40.4%, lettuce 30.2%, rice 14.7%, and so on and so forth. So definitely, if you're looking for a little bit more detailed report, actually everybody can see when you're going to your grocery store that prices.
Yeah, we don't need reports. We experience the reports every day.
They can feel that, right?
Yes.
But if somebody is really looking for, who is number oriented, to be focused more in details about price increase, you can go to Canada Statistics and Consumer Price Index and deep dive in all these numbers to hear better understanding what's going on with inflation and what part of the inflation is driven by which categories.
Yeah.
So mainly
I was actually,
in this moment, gas and mortgage rates.
I was talking to somebody yesterday who has a food business, and he was telling me that because the cost of lettuce has gone up so much, they've kind of taken it off the menu because it's not feasible to run a business. It's not feasible to run the business with the lettuce being on the menu. Anyways, thanks for that bit. It all helps. You know, at the end of the day, we're trying to get an overall bird's eye view of what's happening with life. You know, real estate, obviously the center focal point, but everything else connected to real estate as well. If you have ever had any questions, any concerns, you can always leave a comment in the comment section, and we read those. We'll get back to you with that.
Absolutely.
And, always a pleasure having these conversations with you, Alex. Let's do this again next week, same time, same place. What do you say?
Absolutely. Looking forward to see you very soon and to tackle another interesting point.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Sure.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.